Sunny South Florida. Personally, I love being in the sun, but it can have harmful effects on our skin like wrinkles and brown spots. Don't like that. But it's also a good source of vitamin D. But how much sun is really needed to get that dose? Our insider explains.
The sun is definitely, it's a very good thing. We need it for our health. And vitamin D is actually a very important part of our health and of one of the positive benefits of the sun. In order for our bodies to produce enough vitamin D, it's only just a few minutes of exposure though. It's not the hours that we tend to spend outside on the beach. So you really only need a few minutes a day, and it doesn't have to be whole body exposure. So sometimes what we would recommend, especially with patients that have low vitamin D levels, perhaps it may be wise to cover up, put a decent amount of sunscreen on the areas that are more sun damaged, that get that chronic damage, for the face, the neck, the chest, maybe the hands and the arms, and expose your legs for a few minutes. And that can certainly help build up a natural way of developing vitamin D.
Yeah, great question. Lawrence, thank you so much for calling in. We actually talked earlier in the show about 2 sunscreen ingredients that are being blamed for bleaching the coral reefs. Doctor, I'm assuming these ingredients are FDA approved,
yes,
but FDA approved for humans.
For human use, yes.
Right.
Yes, yes.
So what is it about the chemicals, if you can share with us, that could potentially be hurting our coral reefs?
Well, it seems that at least in the lab, exposure to these chemicals can cause bleaching and death of some of the coral reef, growing coral reefs. We're not sure, and this is where the science isn't quite there yet, we're not sure how sunbathers at the edge of a beach and a highly populated touristic location, how that with the combined with the pollution that is already in the water from other sources, global warming, how all of these factors are actually influencing coral reefs in a live natural situation in the ocean. But if there is, again, a possibility that these reefs are being damaged by some of the sunscreen agents that we're using, I definitely would recommend to use those that are considered safer for the coral reefs, which are the zinc oxide and the titanium dioxide.
Gotcha. Now, we have so many options when it comes to sunscreens out there. You go,
sometimes too many.
You
Yes.
go to a Walgreens or a CVS or even a Publix, and there's just a plethora of stuff.
Yes.
Now, is there one particular brand or that we should look for? There's the 2 chemicals that we're looking for, yes, basically. If, yes, they have those, they should be okay?
Yeah, so some general rules for a selection of sunscreen is pick a company that you're familiar with, one that's been around for a long time, that has a good reputation. Ask your dermatologist for some suggestions if you prefer, and then look at the ingredients. If you're one that is concerned about the environmental impact of sunscreens, pick one that has titanium dioxide, zinc oxide as its active ingredients. There are wonderful chemical sunscreens also that are also great for example, issues with sensitive skin. Patients that want longer lasting sunscreen, that are going to be out in playing sports on the beach or bathing in the water. Those tend to last a little bit longer. There's different forms of sunscreen. There's forms for the lips, there's spray sunscreens, lotion sunscreens, creams, bars, wax sticks, all kinds of sunscreens. We even have a powder form nowadays. So we can go over some of those if you'd like.
I'd love to.
Yes.
Well, so let's take a look. We have a lot of different products that you brought, yes, with us. Can you kind of talk a little bit about
Sure.
them?
So all kinds of sunscreen availabilities here. So we have sunscreens as in the form of the typical lotions and creams that we use for the body. These are great body sunscreens, for example. This is a lotion form. This is a spray form. One of the ways I like to use the spray sunscreens is for reapplication. So an ideal use of your body sunscreen would be in the morning when let's say you're leaving to the beach. Put your sunscreen on before you put your bathing suit on. Get that sunscreen on nice and thick, allow it to soak in. You need about a shot glass, about a whole shot glass full of sunscreen.
Wow.
In order to cover a usual adult
So don't be stingy, because I know sometimes I'm a little stingy because you want to save it for later so it lasts.
No, you want that first application to last as long as possible, to be as complete as possible, and to soak in.
Gotcha.
So put your sunscreen on, then put your bathing suit on. By the time you get to your destination, that sunscreen already has taken effect.
Now,
So
you mentioned body. I'm sorry, Dr. Body.
yes.
So is there something specific for your face instead of your body? Is that
Well,
what-
and the one other thing I wanted to mention
Yes.
is the spray then is great for reapplication,
Okay.
as long as it's not windy. So spray sunscreens are excellent for that use. So face, there's some facial sunscreens also. The facial sunscreens, I believe, are
is it a
over
different-
on the far end. I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, a different chemical makeup for face than body?
They tend to have ingredients that that are less what we call comedogenic, don't cause acne breakouts, aren't as oily, aren't as heavy.
Okay.
Some of them, a lot of them, will have some tint in them, especially for daily use, so that you can also use these sunscreens sometimes as your makeup.
Okay, so that was another question actually that I had was a lot of folks wear moisturizer. You know,
Yes.
can this substitute for a moisturizer?
Some of the sunscreens are moisturizing, but they are not. Unless they specifically say that they are a sunscreen made as a moisturizer, they're not moisturizers.
Okay.
So products are formulated for their purpose. If what you're purchasing says that it's only a sunscreen, then it's not really a moisturizer.
Okay, gotcha. So not necessarily looking at a product's name, we're looking at make sure that they have the specific ingredients in
Correct.
there, and most of them have it. I'm guessing, and just as long as they have it, you're probably safe with whatever product that you usually use.
The well-known brand names have excellent ingredients in them. And don't forget the lips. There's actually even lip glosses now that have sunscreen in them. That's
Yeah.
another great additive. And facial powders that have sunscreen.
Yeah, and that's a great point, lips. Now, lips are a little extra sensitive, right, than the rest of the
Yes,
skin
yes.
because they don't have as much protection.
Yes.
So we need to be extra careful with the skin.
And it's actually an
With the
area,
lips.
yes, and it's actually an area where if you do develop a skin cancer in that, and on the lips, it's a little more difficult to treat. So you got to be careful with those.
So many great sunscreen hacks and another good purpose for your shot glasses at home. You can watch more of the doctor's interview by downloading the Health Channel app. Remember, if you have a question, you can email us by visiting our website, allhealthtv.com, or give us a ring, 855-796-4475.